Hey Emily, I was thinking about how important storytelling is in every culture. Have you noticed how so many countries have their own folktales and legends?
Oh, absolutely. Every culture has its own collection of stories. From fairy tales to legends, these stories often carry important values, history, and beliefs. They're not just for entertainment, they're a way of preserving culture and passing it down through generations.
Yeah, I love how stories shape our understanding of the world. Like when I was younger, I remember hearing Cinderella and Snow White from Europe, but then there are so many other folk tales from other parts of the world, like Anansi the spider from West Africa.
That's such a great point. Anansi is a brilliant example. These stories often have deeper meanings and teach lessons like wisdom, trickery, and morality. Plus, they can be a huge part of language learning because they help people connect to a culture through its storytelling traditions.
It's so true. And the cool thing is, each culture's stories have their own unique twist. Like take the Chinese Monkey King. The tale of Sun Wukong is a huge part of Chinese folklore. It's not just a fun story, it's also full of lessons about strength, freedom, and transformation.
Exactly. And storytelling can be an amazing tool for learning a language too. For example, if you're learning English, hearing or reading fairy tales can help you understand sentence structure, vocabulary, and even cultural references that might be harder to grasp from textbooks alone.
I get what you mean. You can learn so much from the way a story is told, whether it's the way people speak or the themes they explore. I think that's why stories help so much in connecting us to different cultures. It's like the language comes alive through the story.
100%. Folktales also highlight a lot about the cultural identity of a place. Think about Native American myths or Indigenous Australian Dreamtime stories. These narratives are steeped in the land, nature, and spirituality, shaping how those cultures see the world.
Right? And the language in those stories reflects that connection. For example, some Aboriginal stories use imagery from the landscape, and the way those stories are told captures the rhythm and tone of the culture itself.
Totally. And then there are stories like the Greek myths, which influence not only language, but also arts, philosophy, and even modern storytelling. Characters like Hercules or Medusa are known around the world, and people reference them all the time in everyday language.
Oh, like when someone says a Herculean task? That's a direct reference to Greek mythology, right?
Exactly. And it's not just in English. Many languages have idioms, proverbs, and sayings that come from these folk tales. It's a way for people to carry cultural meaning and knowledge with them in their daily conversations.
It's amazing how folklore can shape the way we think and speak. It makes me wonder what other folk tales influence English, like the stories of Robin Hood or King Arthur.
Oh, for sure. The legend of King Arthur, with the Knights of the Round Table, is such an iconic part of English culture. Those stories shape ideas of chivalry, bravery, and honor, and they come up in everyday expressions. Plus, stories like Robin Hood have even influenced how we talk about justice and fairness.
I love how stories really can teach us, not just about the language, but also about the values and traditions of different cultures. It's like learning a language becomes a journey into understanding the people who speak it.
Exactly. And it's such a fun way to connect with a culture, whether it's through fairy tales, myths, or legends. Every culture has its own way of telling stories, and those stories live on in the way people speak and think.
So true. I think we should dive into more folk tales from around the world. It would be such a cool way to learn about different languages and cultures.
Absolutely. We should make it a challenge to explore a new story every week. Who knows? Maybe we'll even get some new phrases and idioms to use in our English conversations.